All right. Just do all our people know we're starting? There's Jerry.
We're going to bring them all in.
Awesome.
I gotta switch it up.
We even have the pleasure of having Douglas Martin in the house as well.
Wow.
I would say we got a very special guest tonight. Honored FUNL guest.
Scholar.
Pretty awesome. Douglas Martin.
Yeah.
It's like Nate's here. Corey, what's up? Jerry, good to see you guys. Yeah. Awesome. Some of the best people in the world here, all in one place.
Yeah. How many spots do we have total, like, to fill?
Well, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, we can do 12.
12. Okay. So
yeah, we have space.
Have room for more.
Yeah, you can always scoot next to Chris right here, after.
Yeah, we're not really worlds away like it looks. Arm's distance here. Even though it looks like you're in the Shire, it's actually my dirty garage. That's why I'm wearing my jacket. It's chilly.
That's so funny.
Do we have soul?
Derek teleporting.
Oh, he's asking how we get on. So can someone send soul expressions?
Yeah, I got him.
A link? Okay.
I see Cynthia Mitchell is trying to come in. There she is. Hey.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Where did Corey go?
Hey, I know you've been kind of busy, Will, doing your live presentation and all, but if it works out, Douglas sent over a track of his music and to our email. So maybe Excellent. On the way out, if you can manage it, but it might be too much to ask. But I didn't get a chance to hit you in the chat, so
I got the email right here. Let's do it.
Hit you up. Yeah, right on.
Very good.
We have Douglas. So there he is. Hello.
I think he's trying to get the audio worked out there.
Okay, so Chris, if you want to kind of start it off, I'll look for some questions, see if we got any in the chat, or
right
Leslie, on, or Derek.
Well, I guess, jumping off from Will's presentation, the fire, the ignite, it's all about takeaways. What do we take away? And then what do people take away from what we've seen here? So why don't we just start with talking about any takeaways from today's presentations? Anybody got something fresh on your mind? I got Cynthia from yesterday. Why don't we start off with you since you weren't able to be here yesterday?
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, from even just the last presentation, wow, I'm just like, it's just been like overload of so much good information. But I really resonate with the animism thing, because I feel like so often we get caught up in, if something doesn't appear to us, like us, if it doesn't communicate like us, if it doesn't act like us, or express emotion like us, it's not conscious, it's not sentient, it's not whatever. That's our assumption, but that's a hierarchy assumption to me, and so that really resonates with me, animism, because if we're all from the same source, everything is conscious, you know what I mean? At some level, it's just different levels of it. So that really resonated so much with me, Will. Like, your presentation was fire. So yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and just real quick, you bring up a very good point. I mean, this is why we see all these correlations throughout time, throughout all cultures, right? There's these similarities and these correspondences, and they're just expressed in like different ways, right? So it's like, if I'm growing a garden here on the West Coast and someone has a garden on the East Coast, it's going to look slightly different. Principles might be the same though.
Right. Right. And like, because I'm a big gardener, and you probably know from my presentation, and I talk to my plants, I play music for my plants, I do all the things for them. And like, once I started really studying them, they know when you come home, just like your dog knows when you come home. They react to when you are present and when you are not. So they're extremely conscious, extremely sentient. They just can't express it with a smile or with, jumping on your leg, but that doesn't mean, it's not conscious or sentient.
How are you sensing that? What signs do you see?
Oh, they've done scientific studies on this.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
studied the plants and, like study the energetic reaction. And they also, when you harvest them, they react to that because they sense danger. So if you don't have a good relationship with your plants, they actually suck up all their nutrients back into their roots when you try to harvest, like as much as they can, because they sense you as danger. So I don't even harvest unless I go to the plant first and say, thank you for, offering me this and da da da, because I want the most nutrients, and I do appreciate their sacrifice. They're sacrificing themselves for you to eat. It's weird to me that people only think animals, they're sacrificing as well. Just because they're a plant, they're still sacrificing themselves when you eat from them. So I ask permission, I thank them, and then I harvest. Because all of these things are scientifically studied and proven. They will absorb, and some plants create a lot of them, most of them create toxins as well when you try to harvest. So you get a lot of toxins if you don't harvest the right way, because they're trying to protect themselves. They're extremely intelligent.
Yeah, it seems like all life on this planet understands the interconnectedness of life on this planet, and humans are trying to catch up to that. It's like, hello, guys, come on. We need you to get it together. I mean, mycelium are kind of way further ahead on the schedule on that than the majority of humans nowadays.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, we do have some questions coming in, but maybe real quick we could do like a super fast, just how you feeling? What'd you think about the conference? And just go around so everyone can kind of check in real quick.
You want to go next, Corey?
Alrighty. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on and for letting me do my presentation and for just witnessing the amazing passion. You wanted to know our thoughts in regards to seminars. And one thing that came to mind is I just love seeing people express their passion and their care for humanity, regardless of, how much money they're making from it or how many views they're taking. Like, just the fact that people are putting their passions out there, it makes me want to be a part of this community. Like, that alone is such a beautiful thing. And that's why I love, connecting with you guys. And so I'm always going to, be around this community, and anybody who wants to reach out. There's a lot of really amazing projects happening. It's really strange actually to see Jerry on my screen and Cynthia, because I talk to you guys like outside of streams and I never collaborate with you guys online, which is funny. Like Jerry, I see you like almost in person like all the time for stuff I'm doing. And if I elevate my foot sometimes, that's because I have a 2nd-degree burn, so I have to work on that. But yeah, awesome. Speaking of fire, good job, Will. You spoke to my injury there, but no.
There you go.
The passion
Aloe,
is very
right?
important. Yeah. Well, I didn't have it at the time. Now I can't treat it because it's a little after. It's pretty crazy.
Gotcha.
But yes, there's always natural cures, remedies, and we always have to listen to our body, give ourselves downtime when we're pushing ourselves and when we're doing these projects. And so for everybody out there, you're not alone. What you're suffering through, what you're going through, we're here to support you. And the fact that it is like a more like tight community where people care about each other and all that is a beautiful thing. I mean, if we had like hundreds of thousands of Spurgs, that's not necessarily a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, we can give more care and attention to each other. So I love this community. And it will get to the point where we do reach the masses, because I've seen just in the past couple of years how this movement has moved, with fire, basically, to large places, institutions, and the things that we're doing. It's much more in person. It's much more collaborative. I think like Cynthia, like I met you maybe last year, 2 years ago, Jerry as well, right? And so there's a lot of people who I consider to be like new in the natural law community that I've seen, and think we're all just finding each other. And the more and more this grows, it's like slowly but surely you win the race. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And you're going to have all sorts of different sparks and flares of fires going on everywhere, Will. You're going to be like, it's going to be uncontrollable after a while. They're going to be like, who's Corey? Who's Will? It's like, there's going to be a billion other people sharing that message. And that's a good thing, you know?
Well said. Yeah, man.
I think we need to hold that vision too. I think we need to see it happening, use our power of visualization to bring forward these details of that positive outcome. I do believe that's a big part of success. Yeah, thank you, Corey, because you have that optimism and that beautiful vision.
Yeah.
Jerry, you want to go next?
Cynthia, you're muted.
Cynthia, yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, I just want to give a shout out to Corey because he inspires me so much because he does so much in-person stuff. And that's like my goal is to like get out there and be more in person. And I'm also excited because next month I'm going to Florida and I can finally meet Jerry and Corey in person. And it's like, that's a big deal for me. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'm so inspired by this conference. Last year inspired me, ignited me to start SoundPath and to just come full circle like this. And I really hope that this type of work that we're doing collectively continues to reverberate outward and spread that inferno of, just the old dying and the new arising. So just very, just honored to be here amongst you all.
Hey, Jerry, since you were just talking real quick, we got a question for you. It says, what was it like composing a presentation for a subject you were experiencing in real time? And when did you decide you were going to speak on that topic? Respect to you.
Oh, thank you, Chris. So, I'm always trying to think of ways of applying natural law to my life and the trivium process and thinking of, how I can share my personal experience because, a lot of people go through these sort of everyday trials and tribulations and, one can make the excuse, oh, well, I'm, going through a divorce or I'm going through this. I have kids. I can't do the one great work. And it's like, that's an excuse. We can all do it. And and it's about, and I love how, Leslie Powers, you had your internal family systems mentioned. And so we were kind of vibing on that path. And I love how Corey and Derek had, the whole, Lord of the Rings type, so it's just amazing how, even we're almost like creating this like collective sort of mindset and approach to things and thinking about how we can apply the sort of personal into the more societal.
For the Shire, yo.
That's right.
All right, we'll just get into it. So whoever wants to jump in.
Hoping we can hear from Soul Expression next.
Yo, what up, y'all? What's going on? I don't know if y'all saw, but I was headed home when this part started. That does not mean I missed any of Will's session. Will, you went super hard. I so appreciate every single one of y'all, every single presenter, as well as everybody that's putting this on and has been putting this on. And I appreciate the shared oneness that brought us together on a spiritual level for such an event. And it's really great to meet those of you who I have not officially met. And it's really great to be here with Big Sis Cynthia Mitchell and Bro Derek B, who, connected me with this world. Not the knowledge, but this world, y'all, the people. I was activated, a couple years before I started making content. Then I started making content. Then I was at the tail end of making content, and I saw Cynthia's content and hit her up, and it was like, yo, do you happened to be a fan of somebody, some rando on the internet named Mark Passio, who nobody I know knows about. And she was like, yes, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yo, look, we need to link. We need to connect. And then I meet Derek, and then it just, and now I'm on the One Great Work Network. Anyway, if I'm being long-winded, I apologize. I'm just very excited and very happy to be here with you all. I want to meet and shake hands with all of you and give hugs. Thank you for showing my dad so much love as well. I just want to say this as an aside. It's definitely big hurt right now for me. But I feel good right now because y'all, we did our thing, man. We did our fucking thing as far as bringing traction and momentum to our goal, our shared objective of spreading truth.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that, man. I'm glad you're here, and the contribution that you gave to the conference. And even though I didn't get a chance to play one of your tracks, but we still have it. We can still play a couple. We got Douglas Martin in the house that we're going to play one of his musical tracks as well. How you doing, Douglas?
Your voice isn't coming through. We're supposed to be hearing the drum roll right now.
No, you're muted still. Or something. All these audio little details.
I like what you were talking about, Soul, with, reaching out to Cynthia about if she knew who Mark Passio was. Mark Passio is like, he is that beacon, because same thing happened to me when I first discovered Mark. I went to my only one, hardcore truther friend that was on the journey. I said, hey, have you heard of Mark Passio? He was like, oh man, your whole life's about to change. And I'm like, what? And that's kind of how it started. It's like, so he is this huge beacon, or this torch, and what we're all doing right now is bringing our torches together, and this is in the form of the bonfire that we call the FUNL conference, right? It would be great to take it from the digital space into the real world, but that's it's a good kind of allegory. I like that.
Passing the torch.
Yeah.
Oh, I can hear you just a little bit. Thought I heard him for a second.
Yeah, you're coming in, but it's very low, Doug.
How about that?
Better.
A little bit louder.
How's that?
It's getting better.
There we go.
And Nate, I think
Hello?
you're far too.
Is that better? Is that adequate?
I
Yeah,
think
now
that
we're
was gonna
talking.
work.
Now we're talking.
Okay, my phantom power went off. I'm using a condenser mic. It's really great to see everybody here. It's really great, and I really appreciate the invite to come in here. And I haven't met everybody here. So very sorry about your loss, and it's really great to meet you. And I just wanted to say that everybody has demonstrated superb performances, and I really love the mutual theme of natural law. That makes it very exciting and very important to me. So I really appreciate you having me in here. And right at this point, I'm more interested in hearing everybody else that really actually presented, and just really going to try to enjoy the round table and, jump in there now and then. But yeah, have at it.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate you really much, man. You're a legend, and the work that you've contributed not only to the FUNL conference but to the One Great Work is fantastic. So I'm speaking to mainly the viewers out there that might not be familiar with your work. Go check out the Cubbyhole, the podcast, all those episodes you guys did, and even the past funnels that you've gave presentations to. So appreciate you, man.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you, Will. Your talk was amazing, and it takes a lot of guts to do that live, so much respect.
Cool. Thanks, brother.
And you saw a little star in the background there, Indica Martin.
Yeah,
Give
that
to
was
nature,
Indica.
and nature will give back to you.
Yeah, we can stay in the cubbyhole and pass it to Nate. Whose presentation was great. Yeah.
Thank you. I definitely second everything that Doug just said. Sorry, I'm a little late. Tech issues. I have had tech gremlins attacking me for the past 2 years, and it's been not so fun. And if people only knew, I mean, I know you guys know, but how much you can go through to make one of these presentations, and how much tech problems you can go through, and some stuff you can control. Most of it you can, but a lot of it just is very frustrating. And but here I am, and here we are, and I'm really stoked to be here and be part of this. And just an incredible conference. It felt like it just kept getting better and better and better. And these conferences definitely keep getting better and better. And just really, really pleased with a lot of the messages that I've seen. And again, to Soul, may your father rest in peace. That's horrible. And but as everyone has said, we all know he's here with us and watching us. And I'm very thankful that my fathers are still with me, and I'm very blessed for that. And just really, really stoked to be here. So I'll go ahead and pass it off.
Thank you, Nate. And you blew me away, good brother. Just wanted to say you fucked my head up, cuz. in a good way. Man.
Glad to hear that. Yeah, I was really hoping I would inspire people today with some fire. So you guys definitely inspired me with a lot of fire. It was definitely a hot conference for sure.
I just wanted to say one quick thing, just to Soul, my little brother. As we were speaking of people, doing this work like Jerry in the midst of so much, the fact that he's here right now is like, that's a big deal. Like, he's going through so much and he's still here. That level of commitment to this work, to this great work, is like, I just feel like it deserves acknowledgement.
We got Cat Waters in the house. Welcome.
Hey, Kat.
Hi. How's everybody doing?
Good. Yeah. I hear myself echoing.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation, Kat. That was awesome.
I don't know what to say really. I mean, you don't get to say this stuff for decades and decades, and it's really, really unfortunate what's happening. Oh, someone is asking for headphones. I would have to go upstairs and get them.
Go ahead and finish what you're saying.
Like, I just have to be honest. It's like, it's hard to not really just be upset about everything that's happening. It's like, I'm just doing this stuff for so long, and just watching everything decline, and watching how it really wasn't that complicated. To just, you should be just standing up for yourself, fighting back, teaching your kids to stand up for themselves. And I mean, all through the decades, like, I just tried and tried and tried. I fought back, and I'm like literally surrounded by enemies disguised as family and community and relatives, and all doing the bidding of these Satanists. And it's like, for the Epstein files and things that are being revealed, and for things to have to be this, sick and evil, to be exposed, for people to start waking up and taking notice when the signs and symptoms of all of this stuff has been around longer than I've been alive, and people just, they acclimate themselves to it. They just always normalized it rather than acknowledging it and trying to counter it, just like a long time ago. And it's just very, very it's hard to wrap my head around. I mean, I use the term fitness a lot because I've, forgive me, seriously, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get people to put heavier weight on their mental barbell so long ago because they just didn't want to deal with and step up to the plate, no matter how many times the opportunities presented themselves for people, to step up to the challenge and step up to the challenge and step up to the challenge. And all people ever did was minimize, deny, water down, go in the opposite direction of health and fitness, So it was fitness that just guided me. And again, look at how weak society is. Look at how weak the people are. I mean, it's so dysfunctional. Like, I can't even believe, I'm sorry. Like, I can't even believe that this is happening, that the public just, has allowed such evil elite to take over and steal their lives over the decades and just give their power away. This giant, abusive family system that I call it, when, I mean, I don't know, it was kind of a no-brainer to study abusive relationships and to see so clearly what was happening. And it should be so intuitive to fight back. And I just don't know,
It's a heavy grief. I feel that you are like that mother that is holding that heavy weight on the earth plane that Nate referenced symbolically, and that you came to my mind, after hearing you talk, and your the sensitivity, of what you've seen, and the sadness, really the grieving of it not being heard, and the transformation not happening as it could have or should have. Yeah, it's a lot you carry, and with a lot of courage. Yeah. We've got a question up here. How do you handle religion and culture in an anarchist family, like dealing with the desire to pass down traditions but not force them onto your partner and children? It's an interesting question. Who wants to start with that?
Can I take a stab at that? Okay.
Yeah.
So first thing I will say with a question like this is it's a great question, because the question itself holds a couple flags in it, right? One of the flags is the words religion and culture. How do you handle religion and culture in an anarchist family? And when we focus on what is religion, what is culture, and what do you mean by anarchist family, or this put a label here and then say my family is this, right? We can automatically take such a question and go, okay, let's dissolve some of these words that have baggage and say, what does this mean for me? And usually if we look at, well, how do we handle religion and culture in this label family? What it dissolves into is, how can I or we prepare ourselves to meet up with ideas that don't mesh with our moral, code in our family? How can we deal with anything in any label from any field of study or exploration, meet the parts of those fields that don't connect well with our ethics and what I'm trying to pass on to my kids and build with my partner. How do we meet those? And I would say, if the emphasis is on the truth and the nuance and specificity is in what you like to explore and what you would hope that they also would want to explore, and then at a, what you make minimal is the parts that, but this part I am going to force down all of our throats. This part here, as a foundation that should be aligned with all of our values, this is what I'm going to say, like, hey, we're about this. Just minimize that part. And I think just focus on whatever the truth is and keep compartmentalized into, and these are my interests within the larger alive truth, this living truth. These are my points of focus that I like to bring my family into if they want to come with me and leave their autonomy intact. Then I think what happens with that, especially with a family full of love, is the way that it branches out. It all works out for the best, and the anarchist family, as well as the religion and the culture and the norm, what's normalized in society and all of these things, social media, school, all of these things, they meet against that same background of, but when they come over here, they're met with the truth. And we try to embody that truth and keep the flame of truth alive in all of us. And also, I like to study voluntarism, and I like to study this kind of philosophy and ideology in my temporary stay here on this little blue planet. That's how I would approach that.
Yeah. I would refer to Stefana Johnson's presentation about basically heart-based leadership, or, where you're not using coercion and force to lead, but, the leadership is through a more patient and embodied presence and modeling of the spirit, and behavior that is important, and I think when it comes to, kids, there's a certain point where it's going to be natural for them to experiment with different paths. And I think that it's a mistake to use force to try to make kids comply, with a certain tradition or whatever. I think we need to honor their right to choose and their own independent ability to express themselves. I think it's very important. Yeah. Who else?
I agree. I agree with the points you guys are making. If we are being parents in the same way, if we want to be a supportive doctor, health coach, if we want to be a leader and not a dictator, a governor that rules over people, we have to listen. We have to care for the child's needs. We can learn a lot from children, actually. And I think it's very important that if we do model the better way, they would see it and they would want to be a part of it. It's that idea of the unschooling or the homeschooling curriculum that actually supports them from where they are at, and something that they want to do. It's fun, it's playful, very different from perhaps our standardized mainstream schooling. And, speaking of that, community, nature, very important, of course, in that whole process. Because if this is something, truth, nature, we say is all present all around us, then really we're working with this parent, this teacher that is here, and we're just kind of guiding, saying, here's the teacher, right? And I want to say also, Sol, I didn't know your situation either, so I'm sorry about that. But listen, my family is always open to you if you ever need anything like that. Jerry knows too. Like, my family's very open. And I'll be honest, through a lot of my real life action gathering with people, I probably know thousands of truthers in my area at this point locally, right, Jerry? Like, how many I meet, like every week I meet like at least 5, 10. They're messaging me every day because I have this network now, massive. And that's why I'm not doing much online content creation. I feel like I have an extended family. Like, I feel like I have 1 billion people I could reach out to anytime, say like, hey, I want to talk about truth or whatever. I don't really feel the need to be honest, because I have all these people I can go to, and they're all talking to me constantly. So I hope everybody gets that community. I want to encourage that in everybody here, because a lot of people feel like they're alone in their outrage. And that was me when I was first starting my truth journey, but it doesn't have to be that way. And Catherine, same thing for you. You're always welcome to Florida, and I'll show you, our church, like someone asked in the chat, go to church, like our church is nature. Our church is our gatherings at Bigfoot, food forest. Well, there's another name we have for it because I'm creating a nonprofit as well. And, there's Galt's Landing, 50 acres that inspired me to do what I'm doing. And then we're working together, and then we're creating all these models, and we're working with someone who's running for governor, and he's got a house on the beach in New Serma. And, he's new to truth, and he's just awakening, but we're there for him. We're supporting him despite the fact that he's running in politics. And like, we're making all these connections because we're opening our heart to them. I'm going to the college campuses with Jerry pretty often. And then I'm also going to clubs, at other college campuses, and I'm talking to those students. And so then I go to Qigong centers, meditation centers, the places that inspire me to create what I'm creating. And then what happens is you just have this never ending growing network. And I've only been in Florida for not even 3 years. And like immediately the events were insanely big because I partnered with a local business that does like healing stuff or natural medicine stuff. But when you are surrounded by great people, you don't care about the news or what's going on online. Like, I don't even follow that stuff. Like, guys, this is the only stuff I'm consuming online is your content. Like, I'm not even like watching the mainstream news. Like, yeah, the Epstein stuff, I follow some of that here and there because it's like, okay, people are starting to catch on. Great. But like, I'm inspired every day I live. I'm like, bro, we're developing more models. Like, we just created a model that I'm going to share with you guys that's going to generate tens of millions of dollars in just a couple of years. And I'm going to detail it for you guys on my YouTube channel. And eventually you guys could all be a part of it. But there's always methods using the market, using community, that don't have to deal with just money or, being angry and creating content online. Because I'll be honest, we're going to be all replaced by AI, and the internet already is 80% botted and AI, and platforms aren't doing anything about it. So we have to move toward natural intelligence, nature, God, truth. And as AI grows, people are going to want more of that. People are going to be looking for community. There already is a loneliness epidemic, despite having social media. Right. So people are looking for this. They're desiring it. Everybody is, even people who have no conception of truth. They don't know how to communicate it. They don't know anyone that could bring it out of them. They've been never given the time to be present and sit down and ask themselves, what are my values? What is my greater purpose beyond my work, beyond my school? And so the more we create environments that open people's minds, the more then we can give them information, because they will be receptive to it. They'll be asking for it. Like, I'll have conversations at the colleges, Jerry, like, I know you'll be busy handing out flyers because you're awesome, but like the conversations I have with these students, some people are thinking I'm scripting them on my YouTube channel, because the things they're saying to me is like, yeah, the system is all crazy and, we got to eat healthier. Like, they know, but no one ever asked them like their views on this. Some of them think they're not qualified because they're not an online influencer. So it's like we lack an organization, really. I mean, there's already millions of people in independent media. InfoWars was in $1 billion lawsuit. So if anything we can do here in a natural law community to create impact, I just would encourage people as much real life action as possible as we move into this age of AI, and then use the AI tools to encourage more of that connecting to nature, because it can automate a lot of things to make it easier to channel people that way. And Jerry, you and I talk about that too, is like leveraging these systems. Again, you kind of got to work with change, right? I mean, the systems of law, government, religion, the reason why they don't work is because they're not flexible. They're like, this is the way everything has to be. So AI, let's move with it. Let's flow with it. Let's not get stuck on it, just like anything else. Let's flow, and let's remember our connection to nature, and then it will be a useful tool. So it's something I just want to throw out there, and to tell everybody that you're all my family and you're all community. And when you have that, you won't look at the world negatively, because that's all programming. It really is. I mean, like, yeah, there's a lot of bad things in the world. There's a lot of people who are doing bad things. I see it. Yeah. And I talk to police officers, and so those are some of my best videos where like I'm asking them, like, would you suppress their conscience? They say yes. And I'm like, really? You're going to tell me that you're going to do wrong? Like, you're going to tell me if I was, growing this plant that I shouldn't grow it, like I'll look at them straight in the eyes and they'll tell me with like a dead, like Jerry, just yesterday, right? We were at like Publix and the manager came out, like he had like soulless eyes. I can swear I've seen this multiple times in my life, but these are very few people, and it's always very few people. And the mass majority of people do see it. They just need to be organized. They need a place to go. We need more community centers, more people who will open their hearts. And so, Catherine, if you do fitness stuff, like, hey, come on down, we'll do fitness stuff together. That will heal people. People cry after those sessions. It's somatic healing, you know, but like that right there is transformational. And I think anybody can do it from anywhere.
I just say something really quick about the kids thing, because it just so happens like tonight, like they're just finishing up now, but my youngest daughter is 21, and they had a meeting because they organize meetings and they do community events and outreach, and they're like totally like full on in the truth and freedom movement, like this young, like, and it's like, whoa, like it's amazes me, and I'm so proud of her. But I never put pressure on them to think like I think or believe like I let them explore whatever they wanted to explore. And I will always just say to them, question everything, even your own beliefs, because the truth can stand up to questioning. So whatever you believe in is true. If you question it, it'll still be true. And that's kind of the route my daughters went. And now they're both like totally into, you know, natural law and truth and freedom, because that's where nature guides you naturally when you question everything.
Could I add real quick, Cynthia, you deprogrammed your brother. Your brother is someone part of my local land project, and you know, someone who, I mean, I don't want to publicly say like all the things he said to me. The way he introduced himself to me on email was just mind blowing. I don't know if he wants that public, but like the fact that he was someone who was a veteran, right, or whatever, like tens of decades in the system, and you helped him get out of that, is something that everybody should like look up to you and say like, how did you do that? Because it's really powerful. Like even yesterday, Jerry, at the bonfire at Dennis's house, you know, that the guy was sitting down like a psychologist, and the lady was getting really angry, and he was sitting there listening. And I was like, wow, your approach is amazing. You know, because it's like you understand the truth, and then you understand how to share it with people who are just starting to wake up and they're getting really frustrated. And it's like you're sympathetic to that emotion and you're helping them get out of that. And so it's such a beautiful thing to witness. So I just want to say, good job, Cynthia. Like, great job on that.
Yeah, and on that note, you know, we don't have Dan with us tonight. Maybe it was a little late for him, but I love Dan Arnold's talk on that, and he's such a great example of, you know, getting out of being actually doing that job, you know, for all those years and seeing it from the other side. And I really like the way he shared too, like that, like here's a picture of me, you know, with my kids and stuff when I was a police officer, you know what I mean? He's like, a lot of these guys are, you know, trying to just be guys taking care of their family and stuff. And so we need to care about them too, and realize that they're people that need love and care and instruction, so that they don't, you know, make those choices that send them down that path of negative karmic, you know, justice, like I talk about, that we all have to face in our own right, you know. And so it's always an opportunity to try and reach out to people, to try to create content, and meeting someone like Dan, who's, you know, totally come from one. And our great friend Jerry from One Great Work Warriors, who when I met him, he was actually wearing fatigues and walking around in the mess hall with all the other GI Joes, you know? and now he's a One Great Work Warrior, and you know, just doing great things behind the scenes. So thought I'd, you know, point that out. But whoever else wants to pop in next, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think that we should target the children with a whole lot of, maybe not our creations as far as what we put directly onto the internet, but our creations as like the, you know, modern voluntarism, modern spiritual anarchism movements. Because if our ideas that are more aligned with truth than the ideas they may get elsewhere, in my humble opinion, are targeted toward children, and successfully. So, maybe eventually we have traction and we have successful children's material, then reintroducing them years later to, and this is why monetary value is just this made up thing that comes with, in its design, a freedom differential or potential for power differential in its design, the design of its purpose. It automatically has lies in it. It automatically has stories that don't align with nature and adhere to nature's actual rules in it. Introducing them to those more complex, more nuanced, more sophisticated trains of thought later in life, as we're still participating in the monetary systems that are held together with the glue of the religion of man's authority, in my outlook, they won't be confused and they won't be so what they say in the Matrix, so inert, so helplessly dependent on the system that they fight to protect it. So I think we should target the kid. That should be a goal of maybe a subsection of us to get together and make a whole bunch of kids material that we think is good enough, if you will, and marketable, if you will.
Oh my gosh, you're speaking right to the announcement I have to give in a couple of weeks. So just stay tuned. But I want everybody who's listening and part of this community, I'm going to need your help because we're gathering as much material as possible for kids, curriculum stuff. And Jerry, you already been gathering stuff through your Liberation Academy. So you're literally hitting on the nail, and it's like teasing me because it's like, I want to get it out there. But I'm like, got a lot of different systems to integrate. And by systems, I mean legal frameworks and then bank stuff and a bunch of things to make sure it's all perfect. But yeah, dude, that is so on point. It's crazy.
I was gonna just
we got to come up with a lot more conscious material than Mother Goose and Dr. Seuss, so yeah, get that golden goose of consciousness. Don't lay a fat old egg in nothing, right? Let's see, should we go to another question? I saw one about
Kat was
anarchy
going
and
to say
dating and stuff.
something. I think Kat was saying something real quick.
Oh yeah, sorry, go for it.
Let's
Kat.
hear what Kat's got to say, and then we'll go to a question.
Yeah, by the way, I just want to say I really appreciate your presentation and like the catharsis. We need that. That's the fire, the calcination of hey, what the fuck's going on, y'all? You guys are supposed to be adults and parents, but just because you're a parent and gave birth to a child doesn't mean you know it all, and like nothing you do is wrong or whatever. So accountability. You kidding me?
Yeah, this is like decades and decades in the making. But what I was gonna just add, since Corey was talking about community, so it was 2001 when I was trying to join community in Rhinebeck, New York, at the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies from 2001 to 3, and then the beginning of 2004. And then the winter of 2002 into 3 was at a place called the Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. I just kind of, I sort of come at things from maybe like a different perspective, but I just want to kind of, I've been trying to sort of build, community and, healthy families for decades. It's really been an emergency for quite a while now. And I tell you, I really think if people don't start really coming together and organizing, it's, it's not going to be good. I don't want to be like, but I can't help it. Like, from just what I've lived and experienced and just measuring all these decades, like, how things have been playing out. And, I can't help but like I have to bring like a heaviness, like a weightedness to it, because I just think it's serious what's going on.
For sure. Thank you, Kat.
You're
I agree
welcome.
with you.
I mean, I know. I mean, I just don't know what else to say except what I lived, and needing help for 5 decades and never getting it, and being shut up and criminalized and being surrounded by enemies. Again, I apologize that my voice shakes, but it's I just never thought this stuff was going to be going on this long. And there's Palestine. I did actions for people in Palestine. I mean, I just if I had the funds, like I would do like more of that stuff. Like I'm kind of better with being in the field, being on the battlefield, to a degree. I'll add that. I mean, I don't really want to go into harm's way stupidly, but I feel so kind of used to sort of being on the battlefield that like I want to be on the battlefield. And I just, I don't have the funds.
So I have been talking to Corey and some other folks in our natural law community about and I would have sort of floated the idea with some of FUNL organizers here. There are ways that I think that we can come together to, because I'm seeing in general, right, like there is a funding issue in our community. We shouldn't be in situations where someone's getting kicked out of their apartment for growing plants, or whatever. Like there are, if I'm tapping into a sponsorship pool for SoundPath, I want to share that sponsorship pool with everyone. I want FUNL, SoundPath, everyone to get funded. So we're at a sort of strategizing level right now with this idea, but the long-term goal would be to create a sustainable sort of that way people can focus on doing the one great work, because just getting into these like this is how they pick us off with these one by one, and they make it feel like, oh, this is my individual struggle that I'm dealing with. No, like we can work together as a community so that they don't pick us off all the time, and we can stay strong as a collective. And I don't want to sound communistic or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if we could just find ways, like if someone's in a better position to give, like let's just network that opportunity for everybody. So that's sort of what I was thinking about. But
Yeah, Kat, reach out to me sometime and we can talk about this, because there'd be a lot of questions I want to ask, and I want to see how I can help. But anybody out there as well, if you feel alone and you need connections and methods, I'm willing to share that. So, but yeah, I know there's a lot of questions in the chat too, and I don't know if that's what everybody wants to talk about.
And I'm sorry, I'll keep this very short, but I just don't want you to feel like you have to apologize for bringing this up. Yeah, it's heavy, but it needs to be talked about, because it's not nearly enough.
Yeah.
I mean, this is ridiculous. Like right now, I'm currently in like major legal trouble for protecting my own granddaughter from my stepson. Like I'm in major trouble. It's costing me thousands of dollars. I don't even know how it's going to turn out. And you know what? I do it again, because that's a baby and she needs protection. And who the fuck am I as a human grown adult, and I don't do anything, and I'm seeing this in front of my face? You know who cared? When I told the police, no one cared. They still haven't even looked at what he did to my granddaughter. They only arrested me. They never looked into the fact that he didn't feed her formula for a day and a half at 4 months. This is real. This is real life. My niece was murdered at 5 weeks old by her own fucking dad. Both my sisters molested by my half brother. This shit is real. So don't apologize. And I'm sorry for being upset, but this is real life. And this hurts people and affects people. It ruins lives. It destroys people. So don't apologize for bringing it up, because we need to deal with the heavy stuff. Everything ain't fucking light. Everything ain't fucking woo-woo.
Yeah. No, I mean, the real math, like I just try to talk about that all the time, the real cost, the real economy. I mean, I can't help it, because I've just, it's my body has been shaped by it, because the more people around me, since, I mean, this is literally going back to 1970, that, oh God, I'm just trying to take a breath and not have my voice shake. But so it like I get so grateful to the body, to the mind body, and it's amazing wisdom and intelligence, because if it wasn't for I'm sorry, oh, my body,
Don't apologize.
that was just like so smart in fighting and having the fit adverse responses to all these really ignorant, enemy people that I was surrounded by. I mean, I thank God I didn't drown in it. I mean, if it was worse abuse, because it was, even neighbors and everyone around just had this insane, the poor abuser, like this children don't count and authority can just do whatever it wants. And I used to say, literally in the 70s, you mean authority can just do whatever they want? Like, no matter how, illegitimate people are, like they just never get held accountable. And, so, I mean, my health really suffered. I used to be really creative in the 70s and the 80s, and all that stuff just got crippled, unfortunately. And, it's just, I never expected it to go on this long, is what I'm getting older and my time is like running out. And it's just very, very sad. I don't know what else to say. I just didn't think it would be so complicated, like to fight back, like to be fit, and for so many people to kind of be in on this like re-education, this inversion of health and nature, and to be so like against fitness, to be like, I talk about fitness so much because people hated it. Like they hated, if they had reality and, just the laws of physics, like just giving them honest blowback, it's like this war with health, a war with the laws of nature that I watched people just do, like warring with God. And I was just like what the hell is going on? And I just thank God that my health fought, that my body, that I had like this, I have fight in me, a lot of fight in me. I gotta say, I want to fight really hard. And I got shamed for doing it. And, this confusion and making your health like a pathology, making your healthy psyche and physical immune system like a pathology, has completely left so many people so disarmed. Like people have like no defenses. Like this is how the system has wanted people for decades, completely defenseless, mentally, physically, and spiritually, so they can abuse you, do whatever they want, and if you don't like it, there's something wrong with you. And it's gotten, you know, people have been so groomed to really believe that like healthy fight, healthy, you know, dissent, healthy resistance, healthy adverse responses or anger and all that stuff is, you know, and it's just not.
It's just not true.
There's so much emotion that needs to be dealt with and expressed. That's one thing I've learned so much from Leslie. You know, understanding this trauma and being able to express it. There's other people out there that are feeling the similar feelings, and they were alone. And so maybe someone who's watching, you know, maybe the things you're sharing, Kat, will help other people because they're like, gosh, that's what I've been feeling too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been feeling alone. What were you going to say, Leslie?
Well, yeah, I think to follow up on what you're saying, it's that what you're expressing here is going to be very validating for other people who may not have felt seen, and you are really validating what they're experiencing and that importance of it and the grief of that. And this is hard work, right, for us to sustain. And we need to start thinking about how do we sustain ourselves emotionally. I love this idea of, you know, where Corey's talking about how, you know, inviting people to Florida. You know, I would love to have some respite time as well. You know, I think we can maybe start to create some of that for each other. You know, where we live right now, we have an extra trailer, you know, where we have visions of, you know, like people coming and being able to spend a little time, you know, and not that this is, you know, a beautiful permaculture garden or anything, but
We'll get there.
but we'll get there. You know, that's the plan, right? Like, and even like inviting, you know, ourselves to work together towards creating things in our various places. Like, I think we could start to think creatively of how do we offer support to our own network in real ways, like rest and recovery and a chance to be nurtured and not feel alone and overwhelmed. You know, it's really about, we have to do something different. We have to get out of our routine and comfort zone a bit with some new ideas.
Can I add a little bit my own 2 cents on that point? Also, in our studies, I think we should be very intentional as to how the narrative behind the facts that we believe, facts or non-facts that we think are facts that we believe, meaning how the story was woven around the beliefs that we are trying to double check and or dissolve because we found out new information. As those who are kind of in it, preaching to the choir, but also more so when we're having the conversations with those who are just now being interested or just now activating and have not been in the game for years or decades for that matter. Shout out to Kat. There's just, I think, a way that we can approach this unlearning that deals with story that I'm working really, really hard on to try and come up with something that can turn into both a curriculum and an entertaining series of sorts that goes into it, and it's called The Inner Storyteller, which I introduced the concept of in depth in the introduction of my presentation here on Funnel 5. And basically, the inner storyteller is what makes meaning in our inner experience. And the way that I put it, just to be super short, is you have a pure awareness space for existence that doesn't need story, doesn't need body, memory, or anything. And you have the I am, the seed of consciousness. I'm sure Nate is circle and dot in the middle should be coming to mind. You got pure awareness as the circle, and you got the seed of consciousness that spiritualists, especially in the East, call the I am presence or whatever. And beyond that, you have different layers of the dynamic interactive relational life that we live. And I say the most powerful force in that, even more powerful than attention, is the inner storyteller. Because the inner storyteller even tells the story of your attention, jumping here and there or being absent. And this spiritual force, I believe, governs our inner experience. And if we understand not only the inner storyteller of our own life, but also the dynamics of the inner storyteller and how it contributes to our learned behaviors and how we can use it to do things with our neuroplasticity and change ourselves in great ways that contributes to our shared goals, then we'll be making real progress with dealing with the question, why don't people get it yet? Why don't these fucking people get it yet? I think it's because the stories that they are conditioned to tell themselves are woven with contaminated material. I'll shut up.
That was great. Yeah, man. I really like that. You know, there's for me, what I'm actively going through is the kind of, I mean, Corey touched on this on health, right? Health, the word, it means wholeness. So it's all encompassing. It's all of the categories of life itself, of beingness, of living in the world. And this even applies to what we're going through the human condition. Sure, we're truth speakers, we're making content, we're educating the public, but we also live in the world. So having that balance, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, meaning, 1 foot in the digital realm of education and creating content, but also in your local communities, out in the world, going to events, uniting these sparks or these torches, like we're doing now, but even in real life as well. It's all of that, right? And each person needs to kind of discover that balance and integrating that into their life in general. There's a lot of people that understand this information but feel separated, right? Those people need to get out into the events. They need to get out into, whatever the freedom cells or anything like that, and interact with people, with individuals. And I don't mean that in a codependency, like, oh, I'm with my tribe that just enforces certain belief systems, right? But it's being in the world. It's being proactive and engaging. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand. If we want, we do have some pretty good questions. I could put these on the screen and we can kind of, do some rapid fire and everyone can say something on the question. Here's a good one that I like that I think is extremely relevant. What is your perspective on owning guns and teaching children how to use them? Do you believe they are important for protecting and fighting for freedom?
Absolutely.
Hand in hand.
I'd love to hear from you, Nate.
Yeah. Well, I had I'll get to that question. It's a very, very important question. I did want to say something to Kat and Cynthia. I definitely hear you very deeply in what you're saying. And, this is why we're doing what we're doing. But we also have to remember that we're in a condition of apathy. And this means no care. People just do not care. So it's a condition. And so what we're doing in these conferences, we are reconditioning ourselves to care. And then we can cultivate care. And so something that I didn't get a chance to let Will know. Amazing presentation, Will. I loved your presentation. I didn't get to see all of it because I was trying to, get myself situated here. But this is going to all connect. It made me think of something that I think one of the singers said yesterday that I really loved is when he talks about blowing the breath into the fire. And that's exactly what I was trying to say in my whole presentation with the inspiration is, when you're blowing into the fire, you're blowing the breath to raise that fire up, to build the bigger fire. And what that means is speaking more. It means getting vocal. So when you're getting vocal, you are raising that fire. You're raising that inspire. And so, this is why, these things are not being talked about enough in this world. It's because people are, there's not enough people speaking to raise that little tiny fire that everybody has within them. It might seem like it's out, but if they get just enough breath, just enough of the that emotional vitriol and being what's the word I'm looking for? Being scholarly, being clear and concise, like Will is talking about, finding clarity, bringing more clarity. It's a refinement process. And so, we have to we have to remember that we're emotional beings, but we have to check ourselves and stay cool and make sure that we bring these topics to the table. They can't go untalked about, but at the same time, getting to the root cause. This is always the most important part of what we're here to do. Because if we understand the causal factors of why these things are actually taking place, which most of us know this, but it's a refinement process because we're trying so hard to get to that root causal factor of, why these horrific things are happening to the children of this world. And not just children, it's adults too. And it's very sad because, people are just not getting enough of that breath of speaking out. And so this brings me to the question about, children with guns. Yes, absolutely. Children must learn about not just firearms, just weaponry in general and how to use them. We've grown up, in a country that's not completely declawed yet. But we're getting there. We're getting very close because people are very uneducated. They're in a state of apathy. They have no care because it's been conditioned into them. And, after what just happened with the whole, pandemic, people are really doubling down in their ignorance and apathy. And so that's what makes it feel kind of hopeless. But here we are. And what we're doing is, the best that we can do. And but we must keep speaking. We must keep being vocal. We must be as clear and concise as possible. And it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of diligence. It takes a lot of love and courage. And so we have to understand that children are our prosperity. They are our future. And we must take it more serious to make time and make the effort to teach them not only the difference between right and wrong, but how to defend themselves. Because, we're being taught from a young age that self-defense should only be left up to the authorities. And, that is a very big delusional way that people have been brought up to think for a very long time. So it's perpetually, conditioned into people. So this is part of the, the no care conditioning. And, but, ignorance is really the adversary of truth and, moving in the direction of evolution. And evolution is teaching your children not only the difference between right and wrong, but how to defend themselves and how to properly, know how to arm themselves with a firearm or any type of weapon. So that's my, I could go on and on about that, but I'll pass it off.
I think it's important that if in general, but in terms of educating the young about the importance of self-defense, firearms, this kind of thing, is the understanding that rights aren't guarantees. It's part of the person's responsibility that comes along with being a sovereign being, that you have to take action. If you want freedom, you have to protect it for yourself, for your family, for your community, and so forth, and not tolerate injustice and tyranny. That's so vital. That's why education has to come along with the ability to defend oneself. You have to it's like in Braveheart, he says, first I teach you to use this, then I teach you to use the sword, because that's the exercise of intelligence, to be an intelligent, conscious being. It's so important. I just wanted to throw that in there.
And if I could just say something really quick too, not even just children, also women, because a lot of times people think of defense as the man's job, and a lot of us ain't got no man, first of all, and you still need to be able to protect yourself, whether you have one or not. We need to know, we also need to know how to use guns and protect ourselves, and know martial arts in different ways, because not only was my niece murdered, my sister was murdered too. He killed her too. And I think about that all the time. What if she would have had a gun? What if she knew how to use one? Maybe she'd still be alive right now because he had one, and it's a real thing. It's a real thing, and it needs to be taken very seriously. And we do need to know how to protect ourselves, and we can't let the government or the police make us think that we don't have a right to defend ourselves and protect ourselves, because we do. We absolutely do.
Can I just say, because what I've watched and experienced over, many decades to see how we arrived at where we have is how, and again, it was the people that all kind of, do it to themselves. They did it to themselves. They made, the health, my health, my rightful, healthy self-defense, healthy self-worth, healthy spiritedness, all, a pathology and a crime, just so they can, extract that energy, from us, like little people, nobody, working class people, to transfer to the, elite. So, they can live completely excessive, like way beyond health, way beyond like what any healthy person should be allowed, and they have so much excess, and they're constantly being fed, extracted from us to them, so they could be as deviant, beyond health as you can be, while people like me and us are living deficient. Like, we're not even allowed to live our, I didn't think it was like rocket science or so radical, like to just want to be healthy, to just want to live to my healthy potential. And it was like, I literally was attacked by my own freaking, so-called family, people all around me that were literally like, how dare you? And and it's, you know, all of that, everything that I just experienced all through the decades accumulated to be creating, you know, like all this Epstein stuff. And what makes me so, I'm sorry, you know, angry, I just can't help it, is all of the finger pointing at Epstein and, oh, how sick these people are. Oh, they're so sick. They're so sick. And I'm like, yeah, you enabled them for 6 decades. You extracted from the little people all around you to feed these psychos for decades and freaking decades. And it makes me, I mean, and like, if people can't get, I mean, I was studying how relationships functioned, what healthy boundaries are, enabling and codependency and all this stuff, like, you know, since the you know, the 80s, like the early 80s. And I thought we were well on our way to, like, I thought we would have been halfway to enlightenment by now. I mean, I was so like, so sure, like my life, the world would be like so much healthier and thriving by now, with all of the self-help and spirituality, yoga, meditation stuff they were selling you a bazillion freaking years ago. And I watched people like just not put things into practice. You know, they go to the Omega Institute and pay all this money to go to these workshops, and then go back to their lives and do the same thing. They don't, you know, they like, there's no rubber meeting the road. And I got to tell you, I mean, like, I was like committed. I made life like this endless workout. And I said, like, I'm just going to tell the truth, never stop telling it, and let the chips fall where they may. If I was homeless, if I was poor, if I didn't care. This is how like much like fight was, and rage and frustration was literally pumped into me, living, you know, in an environment that's supposed to be like freaking so supportive and caring. And I mean, it was like a test. Like I did an experiment to just say, let me see what happens if I, you know, because I said to myself in the 80s, if the monetary system was legitimate, I should be able to take care of my health, put my health and fitness first, and money should come to me like more naturally and effortlessly than, because in order to have money all the time, I always had to do shit I didn't want to do, things that didn't feed my soul, things that didn't, you know, feed me and help me to be who I wanted to be. And I was like, you know what? F this. I'm going to just be who I am. And if I'm poor, then so-called poor, then, you know, that will expose this crappy, fraudulent monetary system for what it is. And of course, it turned on to go on like much longer than, you know, I mean, I thought, you know, guts and resistance would be rewarded. I thought I was going to get like all this support and an army of people like kind of joining me, and forget it. It was like nothing like that at all. And I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, there's,
Go ahead.
you know, for a lot of people, not a lot of support out there. And, you know, that's kind of why we've been pushing to work on community, to work on, you know, us talking about these things on shared platforms. And I really appreciate what Jerry was saying about working towards better systems. And I know Corey too, you know, trying to provide some sort of network so maybe more people don't fall through the cracks and have to go through some of the trauma we did. And, you know, one thing that's been huge for me, I wanted to bring it back to that question about self-defense. Over the past few years, I've been really lucky to be studying self-defense with someone who's very knowledgeable and like picking up some amazing skills. And it makes me realize that like just practicing on the day-to-day, kind of war gaming in your mind. What if things went wrong? You know, like what if somebody tried to grab your kid when you're walking down the street, or corner you, and or, you know, your loved one? Do you have any kind of plan? You know, because it could make the difference that you have any kind of plan and that you have done any kind of thinking. And so outside of just guns, there's a lot that can be thought about, studied, and a lot of preparations that can be made in terms of, even just down to things you carry in your pocket, or mental ideas and plans. This story really sticks out for me, that I was told about a young female in the snow and bad weather, ran out of gas. And like, if she would have just stayed in her car, or I don't remember what the deal was. Like, she was afraid to break the window was what it came down to. And she wound up freezing in the snow. But if she would have just broke the window, she would have been able to get in the car and get the keys or whatever happened. I think that's what it was. She was locked out of the car. So she decided to walk home, you know, in the cold, and wound up freezing to death. And it was just like that simple self-defense thing of understanding you can break the damn window. Your life's way more important. Don't worry about the window. It's like those type of things. Like, I'm talking about putting things into context and caring about children, caring about life. In this day and age of AI and the changing times, it's like, it's getting harder. And those of us that understand it and still feel and still care, we need to put that out there for other people to grab a hold of and share, the camaraderie of being alive and being human. So pass it on.
If I may add to this, what you guys are touching on is this body and mind relationship, right? Which we see is so important in health, right? And when you see martial arts, it's like you're expressing, you can say, some of that anger, some of that fire through movement. And that's why it's helping people release trauma, for instance, right? I mentioned the somatics before. Someone in the chat mentioned Tai Chi. Well, Qigong is considered like the grandfather of martial arts. And Leslie, we did an interview with my Qigong teacher for the Health Revealed project. And he talked about that relationship and how he's building community through the Florida community of mindfulness. And now they're fully solar. They've been donation-based for the past 30 years. Speaking of which, this is also the two pillars in Mark Pastor's natural law seminar, the left brain or right brain, the masculine and feminine, the self-defense principle, but also the non-aggression principle. And then what comes of like every interaction is how you present yourself and how you react, right? So your presence is really important. And you can say the presence is kind of like where the two pillars or the two sides come together. In Taoism, they call that Wu Wei, between hot cognition and cold cognition. And so how you present yourself can be really important. I mean, even like Jerry, another example, yesterday, was it 2 days ago? I don't know. 2 days, it was yesterday, I guess. I don't know. But time goes by. I'm just like in the flow of things. That's a good example of Wu Wei. I'm not like too swayed by things. But we got like $30, and within 30 minutes from people just donating to us. I didn't even ask for donations, just when I was handing out flyers in front of Publix. And we were just standing there. And we were just inspiring people. And because I come with this presence of inspiration, and I learned this from Jim Gale, you can get done anything you want in your life. If you have this is going to sound new agey, but this sort of vibrational energy that people can sense. Jim Gale, whether you like him or don't, I mean, it's like people are attracted to him and they give him things because he has an energy, he has a quality, and he does have a speaking ability. And he did learn things like, like the politicians learn it to manipulate people, right? But like what do they call it? NLP, right? Neuro-linguistic programming. But like, he took all these courses for years. He was like living the $1 billion life, like on a yacht, right? And then he started researching 8 hours a day, had this spiritual awakening, and decided to do something. But the thing that keeps him being successful is this energy that he brings with him, and he meditates. And that's why I hang out with him. It's because he's in tune with himself. And so it's like when Nate mentions, like, we got to do the best we can do. I always put myself down and say, well, no, I'm still not doing the best I can, right? So I have this part of me that's like, I'm always doubting myself, and I do look at the doom and gloom of the world, because you have to face it head on. You do. But then there's this other side of me that's like, we can inspire, we can empower the world. So if you notice, I'm utilizing both here, right? Both of these to create a balance. I'm facing the shadows of the world, and I'm also bringing with me the light. And I think it's important that we don't dwell too much in either one, where, yeah, we are like this new age, all about light, ignore the dark, or oh, we're all about doom and gloom, right? And so It's the same thing when it comes to firearms. Someone could be really passionate about firearms, and that's all they think about. They're like, in order to get rid of the state, we have to charge up there with firearms, and take them out, and blood is the only answer. And it's like, well, here's us over here. It's like, well, morality is important. And, what about if that is going to cause more of a problem? And the abolitionists, a lot of them were pacifists, and they were promoting civil disobedience, saying that actually that's more effective than using even self-defense, right? So all that comes from looking at these nuances, these polarities that we find in nature, and then being able to navigate it and creating, I would say, your own little paradise. Catherine, you mentioned a really good point, but independent media can do a lot of this change already, and they haven't. I just want to mention that you mentioned some really good points. Like, you've been doing this for decades, and you're not wrong to feel what you're feeling. I've been noticing the same thing since I've been researching when I was 13, is that there's this constant, let's say, capitalism or consumerism culture in independent media of like, buy my merch, buy these supplements, let's report the latest news, and self-help, yeah, and buy my courses, but they're not actually creating change, and it's the same thing like I talk about in the Cult World documentary. I have a whole thing about consumerism and self-help. So the best thing we can do is demonstrate those new models, which I feel like are not even being demonstrated by the independent media. Like, that's why I love this community so much. Like, I'm trying to tell you guys like so much how I love this community. This is what independent media needs. So even if we bring this message to the people who are already so-called awake, they need this moral education. Like, I talked to Jerry, and she said that, Will, your presentation at the People's Reset, not a lot of people were familiar with natural law morality. And I was like, really? Like, I'm surprised. Like, Mark Passio, he gets angry at us. He gets angry at the independent media because he's got the same frustrations. So Catherine, I think actually, we have a lot of internal work to do within our own community, and that's part of the reason why we're not making the progress. But I think it's getting there because we are organizing events like this, and then we're doing real life actions as well. And I don't think they've ever been done before in the past 20, 30 years. I'm criticizing Mike Adams openly. I'm talking to him, and I'm like, dude, you just started talking about voluntarism after 20, 30 years of talking about left versus right. Alex Jones, he fell into that game too. But they had Mark Passio on their platform. They said, "Oh, you were highly requested," but they didn't have him on before. It's like it's very new, actually. So this is just something to. I hope I provide some light. Like Catherine, it is on its way, and I do see it. And yeah, there's always going to be these dark sides. There's always going to be things to work on. I think the best thing you could do is create your own little paradise and maybe some feng shui. It could be all the littlest things that make a big difference. But you're always welcome, and I love you all.
Excellent.
I'd love to hear from Douglas. You've been pretty quiet.
Hey, thanks, Chris. I'm getting a kick out of seeing you and Leslie and Derek all bunched up in there. And yeah, I really like everything I'm hearing and everything everybody has to say. And I understand the pain and the suffering. And that's why I do this, because I'm concerned about it. And, myself, I have quite a bit of experience in the research mostly, but I appreciate the activism. But if we arrive at the activism without the solution in our pocket, then we really don't have any power. So we're going to the Merovingian without the why. And so when we talk about principles, we have to get down to that which is most important, which I think we would all agree is truth. But there's a lot of ambiguity with that term. So what is truth? Well, to hear me tell it, if we want truth, we would have to labor for it as hard as we labor for gold. So some of the things that I say or might say can be very hard for people to hear. So I have to be a little bit careful with that, because I want to encourage you and I want to express my gratitude for allowing me to participate in the conference and in past conferences and in the community, because it means a lot to me and I don't want to squander the opportunity. I'm really grateful that you asked for me to speak, because I do have a few things to say. But concerning truth, I think the most important thing about truth is to discern that which is inherent in the natural world versus that which is a mental construct. And to understand that the mental construct is immediately arbitrary and potentially ambiguous, whereas the truth is unwavering. But as I said, so when we, and remember this too, conquering is one thing and holding is another. Those are two different responsibilities. So, so if we went off to some foreign land and conquered some territory, well, the only way we could hold that territory is to basically reside there and adhere to it, and then we have a finite lifetime. And you see, so we have to be very realistic about these very, very mature subjects. And I appreciate all of the because we go insane if we're totally serious all the time. But we really want to recognize where we're operating in the plane of effects, which is in, the physical world, versus operating in the plane of causality, which is in the mind. So this is not just a corruption of corporations and government institutions. It's a corruption of basically all institutions, including religion. And, you could call religion a split of the science, because now we have empirical science, and then religion deals with everything unseen, and that's marginalized and stigmatized. So we've taken the whole science and broken it into pieces, and it's all basically arbitrary and ambiguous, and we are at the mercy of the narrative of the authority. So, I'm trying not to go too far astray, but we have to embrace truth as that which is most important. And like I say, I think the best way to identify what I'm talking about is to think of it like this. Everything in creation is God's creation. But everything man-made, including the mental constructs, which is the most important thing to be concerned about, is an extension of God's creation. So annuit coeptus, God wills it. If we choose to build a prison here, well, the universe is in favor of that, although we will destroy ourselves in doing so. And if that's what we wish to do, that's what our free will is. And the universe favors that. That's annuit coeptus. So we have to be, and when we're talking about the children, my wife has a wonderful children's book at Give to Nature and Nature Will Give to You.com, I believe. And it's a wonderful book, and it's basically Hermetic principles that's wonderful. Thanks, Will. But it's basically Hermetic principles for children, but we have to understand that these things are very mature subjects. And Hermetic principles alone are not the entirety of understanding natural law. In fact, Mark added a lot to the Hermetic principles when he brought the lost principle of care, because that is the generative. That's the big G. That is the feminine creator aspect of the whole universe. And it's within each and every one of us. So when we're creating, we're mimicking the creator, and we're expressing as the creator. And there's so many ways that we can express. So I don't want to marginalize any of it. In fact, that's why I wanted to come on the conference tonight, because, I can poke some fun at some of the, people's starting out work and not getting into the more advanced material, which takes years and decades and time. And, and sometimes I can go crazy thinking that people should be farther along here or there. But in general, you guys really helped me appreciate, and I always have, because I started out with music. Different ways to express. So, you guys brought comedy, you guys brought all different kinds of angles, animation, filmmaking, cinema, presentations, all of which I'm very impressed by. And when you put it all together as a sum total, it's one of the greatest things I've ever witnessed with my own two eyes. And I think the conferences have improved every time, every time we've done another one, whether it's Seed or Funnel. And I'm really happy about that. And that's why I wanted to come in here, because, you know, I wanted to put the emphasis on what you guys were trying to do, and let everybody bring their talents. Because you remember this, in the ancient world, you know, the idea of talent was a monetary denomination, if I'm saying that right. You know, the monetary designation was a talent. It was a term for the value. And what everybody's talent was their contribution to the one great work. And that was, you know, depending on how much it contributed to that one great work, was, you know, the denomination of the value, if I'm saying that right. So that's important to understand. And, you know, money is a mental construct. So therefore it limits us, and it is a form of slavery. Ideally, you know, it's a religion, and it's, you know, it's one of the, you know, like I say, I'm trying to be careful, because I know you guys can handle some of the things I'd say, but on the other hand, I want to be concise, and I don't want to go into one of my 8-hour you know what I'm saying. So I want to make it short and sweet, but everybody has brought so much to this event, and I want to put the emphasis on this event. And I just want to encourage everybody to take the responsibility for the truth. Be in a state of growth. You know, and if you need to express emotion, that's fine too, because a lot of people relate to that. They can feel your pain. It's going to compel them to want to do more, but we have to be careful about operating in the plane of effects. We have to understand the plane of causality, because, see, to hear me tell it, the corruption of science is that the psychology should be at the top of the pyramid of the hierarchy of science. But I'm not talking about Jungian and Freudian psychology. That's psychology in its infancy. I'm talking about ancient psychology, which I've only managed to learn through Mark Passio's work. And it involves worldview schism, mental schism, free will, determinism, random components, the triune brain, the left-right hemisphere of the brain, our complex mammalian brain, neocortex is where the growth occurs. That's the gray matter. And all of these things. But ideally, the ancient psychology is the anima and the animus, the masculine and the feminine aspects of the brain, which we can define as the hemispheres of the brain. And that correspondence that Nate teaches in his work, that we've also picked up from Passio, how that corresponds to the planet itself, whether it's north and south or both hemispheres, or east and west. But just try to remember that only the north and the south have the poles. So when we go east to west, west to east, we have nothing to ground ourselves to. So we can easily become disoriented, and that's largely what's happened. But just like I said, identify with the truth as how to discern that what is inherent in the natural world, which Corey talks so much about. When he talks about nature is the answer, that's what's running through my mind. Yes, it's true. And the same thing, only love can conquer war. Yeah, but that's another big 4-letter word that people don't understand. And we all understand agape. Yes, agape is the answer. Expanding awareness, expanding knowledge, expanding consciousness. And then I just had a couple of other things that I thought might be good to mention. I really love Will's work on animism, and you guys talk about animism a lot. And I just wanted to point out that I think it's important to identify that with the square with the dot in the center, as Nate was demonstrating, as the gods of the four corner, and the dot in the center, which you can refer to as pure spirit, and that's pure animism. And see, I could say a lot more about that, about making the inanimate animated, which, you know, now with modern technology, I mean, is there anything that's really not possible in the physical world? So we have to be very careful. That's the best way I'm going to say that without scaring the hell out of anybody. So